Hello, I am Joshua P. Warren, and I want to share something with you that I have never made public before. I was just interviewed on a webcast talking about some of the more advanced things that you can do with wishing machines. So I want to give you kind of an overview, some examples of some of the things that you can do with a wishing machine. And this is one that I have right here. Obviously, there are many different types of wishing machines. This is an electrical one. And so ordinarily, of course, what you would do with a wishing machine is just represent something you want on the input plate and then tune it to the output plate. So for example, I could take a picture of myself, and I have a $50 bill here, for example. And because everybody wants more money, so maybe this is something you could do if you wanted more money. You'd put that on the input plate, and then you go through the standard tuning process, turning the knobs in various ways, and then when you're done, what you would do is move the picture, in this case the picture of me, to the output plate. So the idea is that I'm projecting the energy of the money to my picture here, and then at that point, because this is an electrical machine, you would turn it on, and you might be able to see, in this case, there is a little red light that's blinking right there that shows you that it's on. Now, even though there are wishing machines that do not have electricity, in our experiments we found that usually things manifest faster when we do have electricity involved. And that may be because that ultimately a wishing machine is kind of an extension of you, and you are an electrical machine. Every time your heart beats, it produces an electrical field. Your brain's electrically active. So here is sort of how I view what I'm about to show you. So this basic wishing machine is kind of like when you buy a brand new cell phone, and you just have sort of a basic structure there that you can start working with. And then once you get your cell phone, well, you start customizing it and personalizing it and adding apps to it, adding your contacts to it, etc. So a lot of these wishing machines have these jacks. For example, this input plate has this little jack right here. And then also the output plate has a little jack. And these are pretty much standard like headphone jacks. So for example, this is a normal headphone cable. And so here's why you might plug this in here. So let's say, let's say for example, I want to be a great baseball player. And what to me represents my great baseball aspirations is this particular baseball. I would figure, wouldn't it, that I would have a baseball that looks like that. So to put this baseball on the input plate might be a little precarious. You know, it might roll around a little bit. It doesn't fit there very well. So what you can do in that case is take your input plug and put it into the input jack. And then you can connect it to something like one of these alligator plugs. And, you know, we make adapters that are much more slim and clean. For example, here is one where we've actually spliced. I guess this is like a 3.5 millimeter plug with one of these alligator clips. So what you might do is, instead of putting the baseball on the input plate, you just plug this right here. And again, it's connected to this alligator clip. And then take something like, well, I have this metal measuring cup. put the baseball in the metal measuring cup, and then clip onto that. And now the input is the baseball in this measuring cup. And you know what? You can do this with just about anything. I mean, even though it's kind of silly looking, you can take maybe a hat, like this is a typical ball cap, and just plug or clip this onto the ball cap and think about what you want. And so what's coming out of your ball cap, so to speak, theoretically, is going into the input plate. So this is how you would use an input plate with a clip in order to experiment with all kinds of different ways and methods of putting things that are irregular or abstract or complex into your input. On the other hand, now we have the output plate. So what do you do with that? Well, here's an example of what you might do with the output plate. A lot of people like to play around with wands, for example. Like this is a wand that I made. This is a wand that I made. And so sometimes Dr. Mulder, who hand makes every single one of these machines, produces adapters like this. So maybe you put your wand in this adapter, and then you plug that into your output plug. So now you can take this adapter and tune it and radionically use your wand and direct it more specifically to whatever you might want to direct it toward. You know, I'm a big fan of wands because there's something really interesting about pointing. You know, if I encounter you on the street and I don't say a word to you and I go, you're going to look in that direction. Physically, you're going to react. Dogs will do that. You can point at a dog and a dog will look. So that's why wands, scepters, staffs, all these things have always been really interesting to people. So that's one example of how you might use your output jack. Here's another example. Let's say you're a dowser. You know, in my book, which you can find at joshuapwarren.com if you go to the Curiosity Shop, called Finding Your Magic, I talk about how different forms of manifestation tools work better for some people than others. And so you might say, okay, I want to go out and set a machine, especially if you have a smaller, more portable machine like the Field X or whatever. And you say, okay, I want to find a lost object or gold or oil or water. And so you might put what you want to find on the input plate. And look at this. How cool is this? This is a little dowsing rod that you can extend, and it's got a plug on it. And so you can plug this into your output plate, and then you can use this to dowse in the field, or a lot of people don't even leave home. People just dowse a map or a globe or something like that in the house. And so there are like so many different ways that you could incorporate the input and the output jacks when you're doing experiments with radionics and wishing machines. So yes, the basic strategy is just to represent something here, something flat, like I showed you on the input plate, and then put your target, a picture or whatever on the output plate. But these jacks give you the opportunity to also do more customization and adapt this thing to more sophisticated ways of putting the energy of something into the input plate and then registering the energy of it through the output plate. So obviously I could keep on going and going, but I think you get the picture. This is why it's cool to have an input plate jack and an output plate jack on some of these wishing machines that Dr. Mulder makes. So I'm sure you probably have some questions, and that's okay. Just go to wishingmachineproject.com, wishingmachineproject.com, and you can email us if you have a particular question about a certain thing, or maybe you're interested in having a certain kind of adapter made or whatever. And Dr. Mulder will work with you and try to create, adapters that will help you with your experiments. But this is like chapter 2, a more advanced way of thinking about how to use a wishing machine. So again, the website is wishingmachineproject.com, wishingmachineproject.com. I hope you will subscribe to this video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may the force be with you.